Hello, my name is Brooklynn Barrows, and this is part of my application for the Faye Whitney School of Nursing at the University of Wyoming. I will be answering 5 questions for you, the first of which is, nurses face ethical dilemmas. I will tell you about a time when I experienced a situation where a classmate or peer was engaged in unethical behavior, and how I went about that. I graduated high school in May of 2024, and with graduation season obviously comes all the graduation parties. One of the ones that I went to was for my best friend. And before I went, I knew that there was going to be alcohol there, but I knew that I was not going to partake because any substance use is just not my cup of tea. But I knew there were going to be people there who were, and who were interested in that kind of stuff. One of these people was another one of our good friends that we had known for a long time. Around 11:30 or midnight, he thought that he was hungry and he wanted to drive himself to go get food, but I knew that he was inebriated, and I didn't want him to be behind the wheel of a car for his own safety, for the safety of anybody else who got in that car with him, and for the safety of anybody who was on the road or in the area of where he could be. I knew that if he got behind that wheel, there was a chance that he could hurt himself or others, and I didn't want that to happen. So I sat him down and I explained to him that I didn't think it was a good idea for him to drive, and that I did not want him to be driving, especially in the state he was in. And to his dismay, when he disagreed, I had to take his keys away from him and hand it off to another sober friend of ours because I just didn't want anybody to get hurt, especially over something as silly as going to get food. So I myself, after giving the keys to somebody else, went and picked up the food so nobody would have any reason to go out under the influence. Nobody would have a reason to drive. And all of the keys for everybody who was under the influence were then put into a bowl that anybody sober was watching at any point in time because we just didn't want anything bad to happen. Question 2 is that nurses often work as part of a healthcare team. I will explain to you how I work in a team environment and a time where I successfully collaborated with others. In a team environment, I feel like I'm very flexible. I can be in a leadership position, and I have been many times before, but I also am okay with being a member, with tasks being delegated to me to help the overall team. I love to be a team player, and I love the communication that happens between everybody because I think everybody has their own ideas and special talents that they bring in. And if you combine everybody's special talents, the product that you'll get is going to be stellar. So a time that this happened for me was in high school. My senior year of high school, I really wanted to create a model UN team for my school. It would be a great academic opportunity as well as a really good experience to to understand how the world works and how diplomacy works. So me and a lot of my peers from all of our AP classes had come together as a group and we had delegated different tasks to everybody. So me personally, my job was to communicate with our potential sponsor as well as start planning a charity event to raise some money for us so our sponsor didn't have to pay out of pocket for all of the stuff we'd have to be doing. We ended up raising enough money and getting enough money in to where we could create this Model UN team. And I communicated with our sponsor through and through and ended up creating a very deep connection with him to the point where he handed me my diploma when I graduated. Overall, everybody in the team had to work hard doing different tasks like communication. Obviously, a lot more people had to run the actual fundraiser. And at the end of the day, it cultivated. We got the club we wanted, and it's still active to this day. I'm still in contact with the sponsor, and I get to hear updates about how the club is doing and how we are performing as a school, even though we're a much smaller Model UN club. Question 3 is an experience where I received unexpected feedback from a supervisor or coach and how I reacted to that feedback. So as I mentioned, I work at Poudre Valley Hospital for UC Health down in Fort Collins, Colorado. I've been working there for about 6 months now, and I adore it. But every time I work, there's always a chance for me to learn something new. As a float PCA, I work on a bunch of different units. I work on surgical, medical oncology, neurology, cardiac, all kinds of different stuff. And one of these days, I was working on our short stay unit. And short stay is a unit where you only expect the patients to be there for 1 to 3 days because it's something more minor in the grand scheme of things, or something that they don't need further care for. On one of these days, I was taking an IV out of a patient's arm, and this patient happened to have very thin and very easily tearable skin. So taking out her IV was becoming kind of painful and uncomfortable for her. Despite us using a dissolver and alcohol swabs, which was all we had on the floor. My nurse came in to give this patient their discharge papers, and while she was there, she told me about this solution that's only carried on our surgical floor because she is also a float nurse. She told me that they carry a spray that will completely dissolve the adhesive on any IVs to create far less discomfort for any of my future patients. Because I had been apologizing and I had felt so bad for this poor patient who had been in some sort of discomfort while I was removing their IV so they could go home. So this nurse had given me a slight criticism and told me that next time I was there, I should pick one up and I should carry it on me no matter where I work. Because if I ever encountered a patient who had a similar pain or similar skin type to the one that I was working on, it could help them, and it could help them feel way less discomfort. And as a healthcare provider, we always want people to feel as comfortable as humanly possible, if we can. So after that day, I got scheduled for the surgical floor, and I went straight to the med room and grabbed that dissolver. And I have carried it with me on every 12-hour shift I have ever worked since. It's been months now, and there's not been a single day where I don't carry it with me because of what she said, because of her explaining to me that having something so simple that a lot of people won't think about carrying with them will make patients' experiences better. And I will forever be grateful for her and the slight criticism she gave me, because it'll make my service better. It'll make my care better, and it will make my patients more comfortable. So question 4 is that nurses require a lot of empathy and strong communication skills. So I'm going to tell you about a time where I demonstrated those qualities. I work as an independent caregiver for kids with autism, Down syndrome, congenital heart issues, and other mental and physical ailments. I've done this for a couple years now. One of my favorite little girls that I have gotten to work for is a 7-year-old now, but when I started she was 4, and she is heavily on the autism spectrum. This young girl was having trouble finding anybody who wanted to continue being her caregiver while her parents were out because she was difficult. But I didn't buy that. I would go in 20 to 30 minutes earlier than I was meant to talk to both her and her parents, to figure out what goals her parents wanted for her and what she was meant to get done, as well as the things she wanted to do. And we would sit there 30 minutes before I was supposed to be there and write out a plan, almost like a schedule for her, about what we needed to do and what would make it easier to get those tasks done, what would make it easier for her to make sure we got everything that we had to do done, while also incorporating things that she wanted to do that made her feel more comfortable. And that in itself made it far easier for her to adhere. It made her feel understood. It made her feel like the way that she thought about the world mattered. And that's what was most important to me. But it also got everything that her parents wanted from me to do also on the schedule, which means that they also felt that they were heard. They felt that their child was being cared for the correct way and the way that they wanted to. But they also got to see me communicate with their daughter and understand her and her needs. I still watch this girl whenever I'm in town to this day, and I've gotten to watch her grow up into a lovely little lady in her first year of school. And I think I would do it all over again if I had to show up early, because it helped her. It made her feel comfortable, and it was worth it because it made her life better. It made her life easier, and it made her feel like she was important, and the way that she thought about the world was important. The last question I'm going to answer is why you should admit me over other applicants for the nursing program. Nursing is not just a stepping stone for me. This schooling will not just be a stepping stone for me. Caring for people is my passion. It's something I've done my whole life, and it's something I've loved to do my whole life. I helped raise my brothers, and I grew up in a wrestling community where oftentimes I was watching younger kids than me while parents were busy. And it was my favorite thing to do. I take so much pride and joy in caring for others. It makes me feel fulfilled. And my mom went to the Faye Whitney School of Nursing, and she's been a nurse for 20 years now. And every time she gets off a shift and calls me, I get to hear how worth it is and how much she loves to care for these people. And I think that I will be the same. I want to be the nurse. I want to be the healthcare provider that you want your family or your friends to have. I want to be the person who provides top-notch care to every patient I have to make their experience feel a little bit less scary. Because if somebody's in the hospital, the least I can do is give them a smile and be chipper and be so happy to take care of them and help them feel better. Because at the end of the day, that's all I want to do. I want to make people feel better, and I want to make family members and friends feel like their people matter, and that I care deeply about every single one of them, and that their health is my priority. There's nothing else in this life that I can see myself doing, because taking care of people has always been my passion. It's always been my dream, and I hope that I can make it into the nursing school so it will be my future. Thank you so much for considering me. I hope to see you in the nursing program soon. Thank you.